Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend, and let's get right to it. A couple topics I want to talk about today. First one is a bit of a personal one. I don't know how many of you out there are wrestling fans, but Summerslam, the pay-per-view, the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, may be on par with Royal Rumble. Kind of a tie in there. But anyway, it took place last night on Sunday with the WWE. It was overall a fun show. I mean, it was kind of one of those shows where those of you who watch more regularly pretty much know that the matches themselves were good, but the endings were... It wasn't a pay-per-view in terms of the endings. I mean, you had one match that with Dolph Ziggler that ended up in a double countout. You had a couple disqualifications. You had a controversial end to the Brock Lesnar Undertaker match. And I understand that these are endings that are made to progress the story further because they're probably going to continue on with most of these feuds, but I mean, really, I understand that now that they have a WWE network, they're not necessarily beholden to any idea of, oh, well, I paid $60 to watch this pay-per-view, so I deserve to see quality endings and quality product. Now they're basically like, well, we're getting this for $10 a month, so deal with it. I can understand that mentality, but you're also going to eventually alienate a certain section of the fan base that just wants to see the storylines wrap up, even if you're not going to end them. Just stop with the controversial endings, because they do nothing but irritate people, and it doesn't make you any more invested in the product than you would have been already. And that being said, one of the big storylines that came out last night really was something that I'm just very sick and tired of, with celebrities interjecting themselves in the storylines when they're not really going to be part of any kind of match. And I'm not talking about Stephen Amell, the Green Arrow. He had a match, and he actually looked pretty good for a celebrity, for an actor. He actually performed some of these moves better than some people that I've seen coming out of Tough Enough, coming out of NXT. Some of those people from the very beginning of NXT, now that they've really got themselves rolling, and that's a different story. Back on point. Jon Stewart came out last night, cost John Cena his match. I don't care that John Cena lost. I mean, it's a show. These are the kind of things that happen. But for Jon Stewart to come out there and basically go under the guise, because you kind of have to tie it into something that Jon Stewart said earlier in the show when he was talking to Paul Heyman, saying that Jon Stewart is a wrestling fan and Jon Stewart stands up for the wrestling fans out there and he knows what they want. So basically they went with the idea, well, wrestling fans are tired of John Cena, so Jon Stewart came out and cost John Cena his match. I just think it's dumb. I understand the whole good guy, bad guy mentality, because you want Seth Rollins to come off as kind of the lowly heel who always needs help to win all of his matches. That's fine. You don't always necessarily need a huge badass heel, excuse my language, to come out and just kick everybody's butt. But give them a little bit of credibility. I mean, they just drop everything at the drop of a hat, basically, like, because they were building up a storyline where Jon Stewart had basically been tormented by Seth Rollins for months, and they were having a bit of a Twitter war and this and that, and then all of a sudden Jon Stewart is on Seth Rollins' side. I mean, none of this makes any sense. It's as bad as what they do with the women, where the Bellas were good and then they were bad, and then they were good and then they were bad. The bottom line is the WWE has improved over the last few months to year. They've given us good matches. They're starting to come around with actual matches on Raw. Just come around with the storylines a little bit. Come out of the dark ages. Go back to what was being successful, what got you popular. Stop with the 80s stuff to where it's like, oh, well, if we can't have this guy win, then they need to cheat to do something and all this and all the controversy. Just stop it. Stop with the celebrities. I don't want any more guest hosts or anything. Just go with a solid pay-per-view. And if you don't think it's that good, then come up with something better. It's not that, I mean, it is hard. I'm not taking anything away from the people who write stuff, but it's not that hard either. The main topic that I wanted to cover today, hopefully I didn't spend too much time on wrestling for you, is a story that just came out basically that says at a rookie symposium a couple years ago, Chris Carter, and he was backed up by Warren Sapp, basically came out and said that youngsters, rookies in the NFL, need to have a fall guy. Now, if you don't understand what that means, basically, Chris Carter was telling those people at the end, and he's come out and apologized now because ESPN has come up with the video, and ESPN and the NFL have come out and condemned what he said. So now he says, oh, well, now that I've watched the video, I understand how wrong I was, and I apologize, and this and that. And I don't want to sound disingenuous because I'd like to believe Chris Carter. And I'm ultimately one of those people that thinks, okay, well, everybody gets caught saying something stupid because especially when you're putting yourself out in front of cameras, you're going to get caught saying something stupid. And maybe you didn't mean it the way that it came off, or maybe you just were at a certain point in your life to where that was what you thought at the time and now you do think differently. But this is an epidemic in the NFL right now. It's not because it's not necessarily this idea of let's clean up the NFL, let's have a good image, let's have people who are upstanding citizens, which the NFL has tons and tons of, but they don't necessarily get this kind of press. No. It's this idea that don't not do the stupid things. Just have somebody take care of it for you. Have somebody there to take the blame. Have somebody there to cover it up. It's a ridiculous mentality, and quite frankly, the fact that he said it at all just shows how deep this has run throughout the NFL's history, because it goes all the way back to when Sapp and Carter were playing. It might go back even farther than that. The NFL has long been the league to where, I mean, you look at North Dallas 40. Is the entire league taking drugs and shooting up painkillers and all that? No, not even close. But it has been that way for quite a while, simply because it is such a violent sport, and it, for whatever reason, tends to lend itself towards those types of people who are not bad people per se, but they tend to run into more of those kind of situations. But again, instead of trying to sit there and say, hey, let's be smart about this, let's not get ourselves involved in those situations to begin with, no, Chris Carter has to come out and say to a room full of rookies who are just fresh out of college, whose minds are still susceptible to this kind of mentality, who probably already have that mentality to begin with, but then they see a veteran, somebody who is a potential Hall of Famer, going up there and basically telling them, hey, it's okay, find somebody in your crew that is going to be able to take the fall. And Warren Sapp kind of backed that up. He's like, yeah, just tell them, yeah, you take the blame and I'll get you out of jail because I've got a lot of money, so I'll just shell out a few bucks and bail you out and we'll wipe this clean. That is a terrible mentality. That is what is wrong with society as a whole, because we always think we can push the blame off on somebody else. And this is not a racial issue. I don't care that Chris Carter is African American. I don't care that Warren Sapp is African American, because there are plenty of people in the NFL, linemen, linebackers, safeties, not so much at the skill position anymore, but there's tons and tons of white people playing in the NFL, Hispanics. It's really gotten to be a multicultural league, other countries, other players coming in, playing in the NFL. And this is just an NFL problem. There are plenty of other people in other sports that have problems. NBA's got drug problems. The NHL has all of a sudden had a little bit of a crime wave here lately. But overall, those leagues seem to have a better image than the NFL, because there's just so much going on, whether it's spousal abuse, whether it's assault, whether it's drugs. I don't care if it's marijuana or something worse. These things were just, they can't stay out of trouble. It seems like every single day during the off season, something was coming up about some NFL player being arrested for something. The league has to look into this. I don't care how many players are on each team. I don't care how many players are in the league, and the fact that the NFL does have more players in its league than just about any other operation outside maybe baseball. I don't know what the comparisons are there. I don't think still baseball can catch up because 53 people make an NFL roster, I do believe. The NFL has got to clean something up. If you can get Chris Carter and Warren Sapp and whoever else made any kind of similar comments to apologize till they're blue in the face. The NFL as an organization, as an institution, has to start cleaning this stuff up. You cannot sit there and say, well, we're just going to slap you on the wrist. We're going to give you a little fine that's basically 1%, if not less, of your paycheck. They have to start hitting these people hard to where they understand that this is not acceptable. Society needs to get to a point to where we are telling the NFL this is not acceptable. It's kind of an apples to oranges comparison, but one of the things that really has started to bother me, regardless of how you feel about him as a football player, because he has not proven himself to be valued at a starter level or even as a backup level. But the fact that we just kind of gloss over these problems, oh, well, he was just smoking a little marijuana, or oh, he'll learn his lesson, he spent a couple days in jail, that's okay. But we mercilessly make fun of Tim Tebow and other players. Even Kurt Warner got a little bit of it here when he was in St. Louis, and I don't know how much may have happened out in Arizona. But religious players who put themselves out there as taking care of their business in terms of spirituality and whatnot, they get made fun of. They get taunted. But, oh, it's okay. This person, we don't have video of this person hitting their wife, so it's okay for them to be on the field. But, oh, Tim Tebow should not be in the league because we don't like him pushing his religion towards us. Well, number one, I haven't seen Tim Tebow out there necessarily trying to convert any fans. He's praying out in the stadium. He's doing what he feels he needs to do to make himself a better athlete, a better human being. But I haven't seen him necessarily trying to just shove it down our throats. We may not agree with his viewpoints. You can think whatever you want. You can be of another religion. You can be agnostic. You can be atheist. You can do whatever you want. But the fact is that Tim Tebow is out there doing good things. There are so many people in the NFL doing good things, but we don't necessarily get to see that because the NFL chooses not to push that into the media. It's not a good story to push on SportsCenter if you have somebody doing good things. But, oh, well, this guy assaulted somebody. This guy got caught busted for marijuana, cocaine, drugs, all sorts of illegal substances, hitting people, getting caught with guns in nightclubs. That is what the NFL's image right now is, and it needs to change. We need to push people like Tim Tebow. If he doesn't make the league, then that's fine. That I still don't agree with that. I still think he's talented enough to play for somebody. Maybe not as a starter, obviously, but as a backup, as a specialty option, something like that. But we need to stop giving these other people their jobs. Greg Hardy should not be in the league. If you're going to come down on Ray Rice as hard as you have, and deservedly so, then Greg Hardy should not have a job. I don't care if there's video out there or not. The NFL has got to clean up its image. They have got to start getting rid of these people. I don't care how talented you are. You cannot be doing this in society and get away with it. It's a celebrity mentality that we have developed here in America where it's okay because they're popular. But when it comes to those same situations for the regular populace, you'd be thrown in jail and the key would be thrown away. You cannot have that, especially in something that is a $9 billion organization. The NFL has got to clean up its image. That is The View from the Midwest. What are your views on today's topics? Did you enjoy SummerSlam? Did you even watch it? What do you think about this crime wave that seems to be coming over in the NFL as well? That is The View from the Midwest. Until the next time, I'll see you then.
I remember